You know, I've said it so many times on this show, you guys probably get bored, but I have a very big issue with the way we go about electing presidents in this country. We always pick them from the same political petri dish in this country, governors or senators, former senators, and even then, only some of those former governors, only some of those former senators. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but looking at just them, anyone outside the mainstream might as well be swimming upstream, because when it comes to getting any debate exposure, either in an intra-party debate or national debate in November, they might as well not be swimming at all. It's sad, because it guarantees the same old bunch, it guarantees the same old talking points and pretty much same old results. Sometimes it's the candidates you do not hear about who are the candidates you should at least be hearing. After all, what harm would it do? Sometimes those outside the consensus crowd have an amazing grasp on issues the consensus crowd does not. And yet the powers that be in both political parties don't give them the chance. They say the bar is got to be very high for them to participate in debates, that invariably these other candidates can't even get in these debates. Some are cut off if they don't score 15, 20, even 25% in the polls, as if those polls are fixed in cement. They're not, they change. But God forbid other candidates get the shot. Now, growing calls in both parties and a group that is now hoping to change the rules and lower the threshold that determines who plays in a debate and who does not. They're still kicking around the numbers and how they're going to go about doing this, but I'm happy they're at least exploring this. I'm told they will be much lower and much different than poll levels we use now to decide who gets in a debate and who does not, either when you're pursuing the Republican nomination or the Democratic nomination, or in the fall when you're participating in the presidential debates themselves. A guy who's watching this closely is a guy who gets a great deal of attention in his own right, but not enough attention to ideas that tend to be ignored because not many people, well, have the chance to hear him. I'm talking about 2016 Republican presidential candidate. Yeah, we have one, Mark Everson. Mark, what do you think of what they're doing? One of the ideas they're kicking around is, rather than a set poll level, maybe if you can get 5 million, 6 million signatures on a petition or something that you should be there, that indicates not only financial wherewithal, but popular backing. What do you think?
Right. Neil, I think that looking at this subject is very important. It's critical to our democracy. Right now you have it's a country club, if you will, of politicians who've been out there collecting money for years, and so they're part of the system. They're not going to take on issues like the ones that, as you know, I'm taking on the banks, looking at things like putting in a consumption tax and getting people off the income tax rolls. They're just not going to go there because they've been raising all this money. This commission, or whatever it's called, I think they've raised important questions here, saying that, and look, Neil, who's on this, who's signed this letter, it includes not just politicians, but folks who've served in the military, they've served in cabinet officers.
Republicans, Democrats, independents, non-candidates at all. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And they understand. I think I'm a pretty good test case, Neil. I've run two of the biggest pieces of the government, or most sensitive, the IRS and the INS. And that's actually more than any of the Republican candidates have done in the executive branch. They've got great experience. But after all, we're talking about electing somebody to run the executive branch of government.
Mark, think about even the hurdles you'd face with some of the ideas they're throwing out there. Millions of signatures on a petition to get you included.
Yes.
Could you do that right now? Could you do that?
Not today, but that counts on getting the exposure. We're setting up we've opened an office. We've got a campaign. We're launching in Iowa. We're going to go door to door. And I'd like people to go and take a look at our 6-point plan, markforamerica.com. It's all there. It's getting out there, but
it's the chicken and egg argument, right? I mean, in order to get them to do that, you have to get your name out there beyond shows like mine. I love having you. I love hearing your ideas. Yeah. But if you can't get past that, you can't get past, well, anything.
You're 100% right, Neil. So, and it's kind of a closed club. Again, the Washington media, maybe you're just okay because you're up in New York, but if you're out of the Washington media, you're not going to notice somebody unless they've gone that traditional path. And frankly, that's not serving us well, because we've got confrontation on both sides, and we've got a reluctance. Look at all the money that's been raised from Wall Street, $100,000 a pop, $1 million to contributed to some of these super PACs. You don't think that those people want something for all that money? Of course they say, lay off me, take care of my interest. We can't get to a candid conversation unless you get exposure. You're right. And what they're doing with this letter and what this proposal does, it says we want to open this up so that we can have more candid conversations about what ails the nation. There's a whole host of issues we got to get to, Neil, but they won't get on the agenda unless people clamor for them and raise these issues.
But you know, Mark, what you hear from the keep it the way it is crowd is, Neil, can you imagine what that would be like? By that math, we would have a couple of dozen candidates. It would be Italy. And seeing as I have Italian descent, I don't mind that. I don't mind a couple of the initial debates having a couple of dozen people. I'm okay with that. I think American people would be okay with that.
Well, Neil, look, we're just starting this annual exercise. It's called the NC2A Championship.
That's right.
We don't pick the top two teams and say, go for it. They play each other. Listen, I showed up. I was handicapped 10th in the Republican field the other day by a column in the Washington Post. They were sort of mimicking the March Madness. I'd love to have a debate with Governor Perry. Maybe that's the way we should do it.
I think you were ranked higher than Chris Christie. We'll see.
That's right.
Mark Everson. Yeah. All I say to people, whether people agree or disagree with what you're saying, you have the right to have others hear what you're saying. Mark Everson, thank you very, very much.